Hi guys, in this video I'm going to give you my take on house hacking after 8 months of doing it. Is it still worth it? Should you do it? All those questions and more will be answered. Stay tuned. My name is Daniel Kohanowitz, or Dan Kohan as I'm known by on YouTube, and I am an up-and-coming real estate investor who recently bought my first duplex back in October 2020, so it's about 8 months as of right now. So first off, special thanks to Rent Redi for partnering with me on this video. If you're looking for the best property management software on the market right now, Rent Redi is the best option. Click the link in the description below and use my code DAN, DAN20 to get 20% off your subscription. Okay, so I don't want to waste any of your time, so if you're looking for just a short answer, the answer is absolutely yes, house hacking is totally worth it. Now, if you're looking for a bit more substance on the answer, just keep watching and I'm going to explain exactly why I love house hacking, how it's worked for the last 8 months, what I've been doing, and the best practices you can do to make sure it works for you. So first off, with my experience in house hacking after the last 8 months, bought my first duplex, immediately moved in other people into my property with me. And, that was definitely my plan from the beginning, was to start off my real estate investing journey house hacking. After 8 months, I can kind of tell you some of the things that I did to make sure it really worked out for me. Now, first off, some of the benefits of house hacking, if you're still kind of getting into it and don't exactly know why you'd want to do it, is that one, biggest thing, you're going to make some extra income and offset your living expenses because you're actually going to be living in the property that you're actually renting out to other people, whether it be renting out other units or perhaps bedrooms in your unit. And so you're going to make a lot extra money relative to if you were to just, get a property and just rent it out, as a normal investment property, like one tenant per unit. So probably the next biggest benefit is actually, living in a house hacked property. It's a lot easier to manage the property because, you're living there. So things are close by. Usually hear about things pretty fast when they happen. Any repairs or, things you need to handle are usually going to get handled. You're going to be able to detect right away simply because you're on premises. And, things are going to be, if something's really wrong, it's going to be very obvious. And you're going to be able to fix it pretty fast. And maybe even yourself. Okay, a couple of the smaller but notable benefits of house hacking is actually a couple things. So one, you have more write-offs that you can do. So for example, because the property, like this is only really if you're like house hacking and you're renting out rooms in your property, that you're living with your tenants, you can actually write off a lot of the things that you're normally going to buy to just furnish your property, because the tenants are actually going to benefit from that, and therefore you can write it off as a expense as a part of running your rental. You can also write off things like mowing the grass and other stuff like that, is because you are technically providing those services to the tenants, and therefore can be a write-off for your property. So things like TVs, mowing the grass, furniture, appliances potentially, all of that stuff can be written off as it's part of investing in your property. So that's another thing to add to your when you're calculating the cash flow and the value you're going to get from this property. The other small thing is that there's shared responsibilities. So if you're living in a unit with other people, maybe your friends or something like that, that you can usually share some of the responsibilities. The small ones like taking out the trash, mowing the lawn if that's what you do, little washing the dishes, things like that. You're normally going to have to do all by yourself. You can potentially share those with your roommates. Okay, so my experience has been pretty successful, and I want to kind of share some of the tips that I used going into it and that I've kind of learned along the way that have really made this a very enjoyable and successful experience for me. It's not been totally mailbox money hassle free. There have been a few hiccups, a few problems that needed fixed, but for the most part it has been that way, and I'm really happy to share that. So the first thing that you're really going to want to make sure you do going into it is buying a property that is conducive to house hacking, is in an area that you want to live in, hopefully a nicer area, somewhere you're going to love, want to live, because you're going to have to live there, right? You don't want to be living in an undesirable area, an area you don't like, because you're just not going to like it, and you're going to not like investing, and it's going to be bad for you. So you're going to want to pick a good area, a good property. If you have to rehab it or whatnot, do that, but you're going to want to live in a place that you enjoy living in to an extent. And that other people are going to want to live in as well, because when trying to attract roommates or other tenants or things like that, it's the nicer the area you're in, within reason, of course, as long as the numbers work, you're going to be able to attract better people, and it's just going to be a better environment overall. So make sure you find a property in a good area, like I did. I found it in my hometown in a good neighborhood that was really close to my work and things like that. And I, it's only 2 minutes away from where I work. It's been awesome. So the next big thing is actually picking your tenants. So with house hacking, it's a bit of a different dynamic, especially if you're going to be actually living with roommates like I am. So I bought a duplex and I live in one side and I rent out the other side. So it's a primary residence. And I actually have, 3 other people living here with me. It's a 4-bed duplex. So it's pretty large, about 2,000 square foot per side. And I actually moved in with my brother, and then quickly filled it with also another tenant that I found, like a kind of a distant family friend, and then one of my other friends, and then actually just a guy that I just found advertising on Facebook. So, to talk a little bit about that, it's really important that you get tenants that you're going to want to live with, roommates. I mean, these are roommates, you're going to have to deal with them to some extent, in their interpersonal lives. Now, thankfully, I chose tenants that have been due to their lifestyles and things like that, and it's almost like they don't even live here. Like, I pretty much never see them. They're all off doing their own thing all the time. It's almost like I have the house to myself, whenever I'm here, because of all of our different schedules and things. So it's really awesome for me because, I pretty much have my own duplex that people happen to live in the rooms that I wouldn't even use anyway, and I'm making a lot of extra income every single month because of it. So you definitely want to find tenants that, your screening process is going to be a little bit more because you're looking for personalities. Is the person messy? Can you get along with them? Are they of course they're going to pay the rent on time? Those kind of things, but you're going to need to consider more of like the, I'm going to have to live with this person. For all of my tenants, for my roommates especially, I did them all as, month to month leases, because if I, didn't like them or something like that, I could just, hey, it ain't working out. You got 30 days, that kind of thing. And just to make the process as, risk-free as possible. Another thing, with choosing your property is you probably want, if you can, choose an area with like a thing like a college or perhaps a school, where there's younger people that are more willing, you can get high quality people that are willing to live in like a room instead of their own unit because they want to save money, they're going to school or perhaps they're working or something like that, get somebody like a professional that's, doing stuff and is going to have a good income and it's going to be able to pay the rent, but also going to be a high quality individual, because you don't just want to rent to, maybe like people like more lower quality people or things like that are, looking to just save a lot of money, but, like they might have a lot of pets or baggage. I had a lot of people when I was looking that were like, small families looking to like rent a room for me. And obviously that's, really not ideal, especially when you're trying to, minimize the effect that tenants have on your life and stuff. So, keep that in mind when you're looking for tenants. Just make sure you're choosing people that you can live with as well. Okay, now the next biggest thing that I learned looking through this is, you got to set the right expectations with folks. You've got to have systems in place. You've got to be managing your tenants correctly. And with that, like setting like house rules and expectations when people move in, setting expectations on like when the rent needs to be paid. And especially if these guys are your, they're rooming with, or like your friends or people that you have, relationships beyond just, a tenant landlord relationship. You definitely want to make sure that things are very clear cut from the beginning, so there's no disagreements or things that could mess up your relationship or cloud your judgment in any way. Like for example, I have a tenant management software which I'll go into in a second, and it like the rent is due at a certain time every single month, and it automatically debits from their accounts. And, if they don't pay it, then there's a late fee, and it's just automatically charged, set up from the beginning. It's just automatically happening. I'm not responsible. I'm never collecting rent from my tenants or anything. It's all happening, through the systems that I've set up. And therefore, like there's no he's taking my money or something like that. It's just very clean, very professional. And it's the way I like it. So with that, you guys, I would definitely recommend getting what made my experience really good is getting a really good, rental tenant management system. Now, I chose Rent Redi for mine. It does really cool things like screens your tenants, runs background credit checks, collects rent automatically every single month through a bunch of different payments. And it even, your tenants can sign up to have their rent payments actually reported to credit bureaus to build their credit, especially if they're young people, if they're, people that don't have a lot of credit. That's going to be super important for helping them get, another rental down the line, or a credit card, or a loan for anything. So that's another thing you can offer them just for having this service. And guys, I actually use Rent Redi for mine. I personally use it, have been using it for the last 8 months. It's made my rental management experience a total breeze, and I would recommend it to anybody. And if you want to get it, click the link in the description below. Use code DAN20 to get 20% off your subscription. Use the link in the description below to get an awesome rental management software for yourself. So in conclusion, I would definitely recommend house hacking. I'm going to keep house hacking for as long as possible, probably until, I start my family in a few years, and, it's just going to save me a lot of money. I don't really mind living with people. I actually enjoy it probably better than living alone, to be honest, and I'm going to just keep doing it as long as I can. So guys, if you're with me on this journey, please hit the like button down below, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next chapter.